Hello guys, welcome back. In the last lesson, we looked at the structure of HTML. In this lesson, we're going to look at HTML headings and paragraphs. So now we are getting into HTML elements. So let's look at what headings are. Now, headings play a significant role in the success of a website because they make it easy for readers to scan the content of your web pages. And we have 6 heading tags in HTML. We have from H1 to H6, and we're going to look at that shortly when we get into the practical aspect of this. And this is what it looks like. Here we have the HTML file, and this is what all the headings are going to look like from H1 to H6. And then on your browser, this is how it's going to be rendered. So you can see the H1 is the biggest, followed by H2, followed by H3, down to H6. And then we also have paragraphs, the paragraph tags. So paragraphs can be created with the p tag in HTML. And you have to keep it in mind that when writing HTML, it is different from when you're writing a normal Word document. So the way you break up text when you're writing a Word document is different from the way you break text when you're writing HTML. So when we want to break text in HTML, we don't just press enter and automatically, on the web browser, it has gone to the next line. So in HTML, when we want to create breaks between lines in the words that you're writing, we use the line break tag. And the line break tag is represented with this BR tag. Okay, so I know you must have gotten bored from all this talk. So let's get straight into the practical aspect of this. So for now, we're going to be using a text editor, Notepad. Okay, so if you're on Windows, I believe even if you're using the Mac operating system, you should have access to Notepad. Okay, so you're just going to open Notepad. That is where we're going to be practicing HTML first. We have to get comfortable with Notepad before we go into Visual Studio Code, which is also another text editor / code editor. Okay, so once you have your Notepad open, what I want you to do is we're going to write the HTML structure in here, and we're going to see how this gets rendered on the web browser. So the first thing we want to do is the HTML doc type declaration, which specifies that this is the latest version of HTML, HTML5. And we do that by writing doc type, and then we have the HTML. And then the next thing is the HTML element. Okay, and it is important to make sure you close the HTML element with the backslash. So inside the HTML element, we have 2 major elements. The first one is the head, and the second one is the body. Yeah, all right, we have the head and then we have the body. So the head is where we have things like the title of our web page, and where we have some other configurations on our web page. So inside the head, we can just put in a title. We can put in the title of our web page, and let's see. So what we're going to put as the title of that web page is my first web page. Okay, yeah, my first web page. And then inside the body of our HTML, we can just practice the headings that we talked about. So I'm just going to put H1. Remember, it has to be in a tag, and it is important to close it. Later, we're going to look at self-closing tags. Okay, so in the heading, you can just put hello world. Okay, and then if you save this, you ensure that you save it with the .html extension, because that is what determines that it is actually an HTML file. Okay, so we're going to store it with, we're going to save it with index.html, and we click on save. So once we've saved, ensure that you do not close this notepad. Ensure you do not close it, because we're still going to come here and add some things to it. Okay, so let's go to our desktop. In our desktop here, you can see the index.html file that we just created, and what you will notice is it is showing us the Google Chrome icon. Now remember, I told you that we're going to be using Google Chrome for this course. That's the preferred choice of browser that we're going to be using in this course. So it is already showing the web browser icon, which means this is a file that can be opened on the web browser. So if I double click on this, voila, here you go, you have your first HTML page. So the content that we put inside the head element of the HTML, we put title there, you can see it at the top here. Now all the content that goes into the body element of the HTML is what you see on your web browser. For instance, the H1 that we used, which is the biggest of all the headings. So let's go back to the file and do some modifications to it. Let's test out the other heading elements and see what they look like on the web page. Alright, H2, and let's see for H3. Okay, let's just copy this. Alright, and then I can just paste it here. Paste it here. We have H3 to H6. Good. So what I'm just going to do is just okay, this is still 3, so I'm going to put this at 4, and here we would have 4, 5, and here we would have 5, and 6, and here we would have 6. Alright, so we have all our heading elements from H1 to H6. So once I save this file, you will notice that it is not reflecting on our web page. Now the reason why is you have to refresh it. So what you have added to this file, in order for you to see it on the web page, you have to refresh the web page. And there you go. So you can see our different headings from H1 to H6. But most of the times what you will be using as a web developer is H1, H2, and H3. The reason why most people don't use H4 to H6 is because it is not too good for user experience. So you have to consider the users who are browsing on your web page. Some of them, may not be able to see this clearly. Alright, so we also looked at paragraph tag or paragraph element. So let's see what that looks like on the web page. So we have an opening paragraph tag, and then we put in our paragraph here, our first attempt at learning HTML, and then you can close this paragraph tag. Okay, there you go. So once you save this and you refresh on your page, there you go, you have your paragraph elements. Okay, so whenever you put in whenever you write in an HTML tag in the body element, ensure that you save it and refresh your web page so that you'll be able to view it on the web browser. So this is just how basically we are just practicalizing how the structure of HTML works. So everything we put in the head is where we have things like configurations, Even when you want to link your HTML to CSS, you put that link inside the head tag. In the body tag is where we have the main content of our web page that gets to display on the web browser. Okay, so that's basically all about the structure of HTML, and that is all about headings and paragraphs. In the next lesson, I'm going to teach you about self-closing tags. Okay, so see you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching.